Hosted by you/Hypnosis Pancakes. My 30F husband's 32M family is coming to visit us. We moved away a few years ago for work. We were informed a few months ago that his Aunt Becca and her third husband John were also coming too. We did not invite them. We don't like John. To put it plainly, he is a narcissistic jerk. Recently, it came to light that there was a court case naming him as a perpetrator of grooming one of his students in the 1970s-1980s. He tried to soften the blow by saying it was a relationship, gross, but the victim won the civil case. No criminal charges were ever filed against him. Becca put her foot down, stating that if the family wanted a relationship with her, they had to accept that John was part of it. Being such a close family, my in-laws went along with that. My husband and I have successfully avoided major interactions with John since things came to light. But now they are coming straight to us and piggybacking off the in-laws' visit. At first, we thought we could sidestep the interaction, plan dinner at our place before they arrived, go out instead, or just be busy, etc. However, during the planning for their trip, they insisted that Becca and John need to come to our house for dinner, and they are coming up to see us. So, my husband and I now know we need to set boundaries, and they need to be established now. We want to sit down with his parents and state firmly that John is not welcome in our home. Does anyone have any advice on what to say in this conversation, or advice from anyone who has had to do the same? I have cut off family for the same situation, but I was never the one leading the conversation. My husband is stressed and worried about a him versus John scenario. Thanks for the advice in advance. Commenter. Ask yourself all the questions they may hypothetically ask you and consider their responses to the answers for your rebuttal. You don't have all the facts but enough information to form an opinion? Did you see the related paperwork from the court case? They know the reason why. Are you prepared to no longer have a relationship with Aunt Becca and potentially your parents? Either way, it's your house and your lives, so your rules. It's okay to say no. Sorry if her feelings are hurt because of this, but you're not responsible for her feelings. Cancel or reschedule with the parents if they cannot take your no for an answer. Ops response. This is actually very helpful. We don't have all the facts, but we read parts of the deposition that were available to us, and the court case made small news where they are from. Specific quotes from John have made us worried this isn't the first victim. I am not sure what my in-laws are aware of. I went looking for the information and had to dig a bit deeper. They may only be aware of what Becca and John have told them in one news source that was 2 paragraphs long and not in depth. Update 1. Thank you to everyone for their advice on the original post and for giving us the push we needed to be firm with our boundaries. I wanted to clarify some questions I saw in the original post before going into the update. Firstly, my husband was the one leading the conversation with his family. We created the post together, so the wording was ambiguous. I was there for support but not the one managing the conversation. Secondly, a few people were asking how we even got to the point of Becca and John just coming along. Originally, it was only supposed to be 3 family members for the visit, so we had everything planned for them already. The day I made the post, it was mentioned that Becca and John were coming too. To which we said no, point blank. However, one family member in particular did not like that and started to cause trouble. The court settlement happened within the last 5 years. The dates of the grooming occurred as late as 1990, we have since found out. Now I will get to the update. After making the post, my husband and I sat down and made a plan to approach the conversation with his family. Coincidentally, we were seeing them in person a couple of days after making the post. My husband wanted to wait until after dinner to start the conversation and initially pull his mother aside. However, his grandparent was also there and kept bringing up how excited Becca and John were to see the house and have dinner. My husband ended up snapping and ripped off the band-aid in front of everyone. He first started with the fact that he had something he wanted to say to them. Everyone jumped the horse, assuming it was a pregnancy announcement, and began to get excited until they heard my husband say, "John is not welcome in our home." The room went from excited to silent in a split second. My husband continued, "Due to John's history, I cannot allow him into my home where my wife and I will one day begin our family. I want our home to be a safe place. I understand you have chosen to continue a relationship with John because of Becca, which is your business and we respect that. While I love Aunt Becca, she is welcome into our home, John will not step foot in our house." That's when the table went from silent to erupting. As we suspected, and as many commenters suspected, my in-laws believed only what Becca and John told them. They did not look into anything further. I'm going to omit some specifics of the next part of the conversation to protect the victim's privacy. Essentially, the family said it was lies, the Me Too movement ruined his life, the victim was a liar and went after him for money, anything you can think of, they said it. We had the reports and deposition from the court documents ready and read out specific parts, including how John confessed that it happened and that there were possibly others. This is something we should not have had to do, no is a full sentence, but we had a feeling the family didn't know the real story. As soon as we did that, my mother-in-law changed her tune immediately. She sat back, took a pause, and said, "Well, obviously we weren't told the full story." We decided to take Becca's word as the truth and not look any further. My husband's parents then said they support us with this boundary, it's our house, and we make the rules. They mentioned that they didn't want Becca and John to come anyway and that it was the grandparent who forced the issue. From further conversation with my mother-in-law, she may also change her stance on whether John is welcome in their home and in what capacity. My grandparent-in-law was furious. They didn't believe anything in the court documents, said they didn't want to know, and believed Becca's word over anything else. They even went so far as to say that John wouldn't be interested in kids, so our future children would be safe. This was a particularly bad point in the conversation. Up until this point, my husband had been doing the talking, but now I stepped in. I said, "John is not welcome in our home, end of story. You invited Becca and John without asking. Your relationship with John is your business, but we will not have one." Fortunately, at this point, both my mother-in-law and father-in-law were on our side, telling the grandparent that it was none of their business. We also found out that other extended family members had placed the same boundary concerning John. The grandparent, realizing they couldn't control the narrative or our actions, and feeling their vision of a perfect family was shattered, it was already broken, decided that being terrible towards my husband was the best course of action. They told my husband that their deceased grandparent, whom my husband was closest to, would be disgusted with our actions. They then stormed out of the house, as much as one can with a walker. They have decided to continue the silent treatment, which is good because my husband believes no contact is the best thing right now. Becca and John have changed their travel plans to fewer days, booked a hotel, and made their own dinner reservations. My mother-in-law has said they will deal with them. My husband will be informing his aunt directly beforehand that John is not welcome in our house. The family trip is in a few weeks. We don't know if or what will happen or if the grandparent will come or if they will still be childish by then. It doesn't matter to us. We have put our foot down. Edit. After my husband told Becca directly that John is not welcome in our home, they decided to cancel their trip. It's still unknown if the grandparent will come. There is still no contact between us and the grandparent. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are still coming but will readjust their plans as we find out more. I will update again if anything else happens. Thank you all for your support and advice.